Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric, and we're continuing a series on the MiSTer FPGA DE10 Nano project. And today we're doing the Saturn Preview 1, what games are running, how to get it running on your MiSTer, and how to help test things out, because this is amazing that it's here. It is in no way in a final state, and that is fine, because sometimes testing is all part of the fun. Before we get too far involved though, if you do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, and that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support our Patreon, there is a link in the description down below as well. But yeah, you can put the Sega Saturn core on your MiSTer and you can play it today. Now I waited to do this until MiSTer Main, the non-unstable branch, would allow you to use the core, just because I know teaching people how to install unstables is going to end up with some people just having a messed up installation, having to redo their SD card. You can't really break a MiSTer on unstable, but it's a little finicky. But the first thing is how do we deal with the Saturn, because it is quite different. You have a couple options. You're going to see slave CPU enable, and it seems to be that compatibility is better if you mark that as yes. And you'll also see that we have an ability to just load a Q file, and then we have region settings. Now you do need to set the region of the Saturn for the region of the BinQ game version you are playing. If you have a USA release, it's got to be the USA. If you have Japan, it has to be Japan. You do need to toggle this around. I will get into BIOS in a little bit and explain how that works, but once you load that up and it goes to the menu, you're going to see Start Application, hit the button, and you're going to pop right into whatever game you pick. And seeing something like Nights into Dreams running on my MiSTer and being played in full speed from what I can tell is absolutely spectacular. Now, fair warning, the audio is glitchy at best, and that's because SRG320 is not done with this core, and I'll leave a link to his Patreon down below as well. Think about throwing him a few bucks. This is hard work. But where do you get the files? If you update your MiSTer, it will work, but you will not have the core. So head on over to the MiSTer official Discord. I'll leave a link in the description below as well. And you're going to see under pinned messages, there's a lot of different information, things such as what BIOS you want to download and the fact that you need to rename it boot.rom. I'll show you that in a moment, but it is extremely easy to do. But this is going to be the resource of where you find all the files. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you're going to see two different cores, single SD RAM and dual stick RAM. I am testing this on a single stick. I have a double stick as well, but I know 99% of you are on single RAM stick, so that's one we are going to go take a look at. There's also a link to a Google Sheet set up by Fuzz. Big shout out to him again for just being awesome and doing this. It'll show you what games are working, what games are only working on dual RAM, and what games are tested as not working whatsoever. So just keep that in mind. And you'll see here we have that saturn.rbf file that we downloaded from Discord, and all you're going to do is put that in the consoles folder on your MiSTer installation. Now you'll see here I already have renamed that BIOS to boot.rom, but just create a Saturn folder anywhere on your desktop, type in boot.rom on that file, and then copy that Saturn folder to the games folder on your MiSTer. It is as simple as that. And like I said, this will run on MiSTer Main, but make sure you have updated your MiSTer recently. If you haven't updated it for a few months, this will not work. So updating is going to be one of the most crucial steps in getting Saturn running on your MiSTer today. No update, no play, no worky. But getting into Bug 2 here, an awesome game that doesn't get enough credit. The amount of options in this core, because it is still in development, are limited, but we do have a few that we can check out that will be relatively useful for people that are playing Saturn for the first time. So you'll see in this menu here, we do have that slave CPU enabled. That's something you're going to want to keep on all the time. We have those region settings that you want over already. But under audio and video, we can change the aspect ratio. Don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can. You can do a corrected aspect ratio to widen it out ever so slightly. And then you've got scan doubler effects. I leave these off completely, and I think you should too, but if you want to play with them, they are here for you, as well as border and composite. And just make sure you define your buttons like any core. If you don't define the buttons, pretty much nothing is going to work. But once you do that, you are playing Sega Saturn games on your MiSTer, and it is wild to see this going on. It is as impressive as everything with the PlayStation 1 core, and maybe slightly more so considering SRG320's current situation. Just don't get squashed there, kind of forgot that happened. You'll see some graphical glitches here and there, but for the most part the graphics are pretty stable. It's the sound that gets ever so slightly shaky. But the thing is, Duke Nukem 3D is the key to the kingdom. If you're having trouble launching something, playing Duke Nukem for a little bit and then launching what wasn't working seems to sometimes make it work. No one's quite sure why this is happening, but you'll see here, if you just get into the MiSTer menu under Sega Saturn, we're going to play around a little bit so I can kind of walk you guys through a little bit of an issue. You'll see that it doesn't find the disk format. So all we're going to do, since we've already run Duke Nukem 3D, is if you go into the menu here in just a moment, because we don't have that start application, everything's the same and you just hit reset. This is in real time, no cuts. The menu is going to come back up, and all of a sudden we are going to be able to start that game. So sometimes if something won't run, play Duke Nukem 3D till you get into the theater, try it again, and half the time it's going to work, half the time it won't work. But that is where we are with Saturn development on MiSTer. This is the testing phase, but I love testing so much and talking about previews because I like to know how the sausage gets made, so to speak. And remember, the more people that are testing and the more people that are submitting bug reports onto that spreadsheet, the more information that is gleaned quicker is going to help in the future. So definitely get involved in testing if you have a MiSTer and you like playing around with this stuff. It's some of the most fun for me to be had because I have a Saturn and I have these games. I don't need to play this right now, but from a testing perspective, I love doing it and explaining how it works to you guys. But some of the audio does work, so go ahead and listen for like 45 seconds, hear what good audio is, and then hear what the glitchy part is, and I'll be right back and talk more about Saturn on MiSTer. You'll hear that in the Nights into Dreams there, the music sounds perfect, and in Guardian Heroes, the sound effects are a little bit scratchy, but the background music sounds perfectly fine. You're definitely going to get some scratchy audio in pretty much every single game you play, but playing Guardian Heroes here, everything feels exactly like it should, and I did a video on this last year, and I am very familiar with the game. When I was playing around with it, everything seemed to be working as expected, at least as far as I played, but you're probably not going to be beating any games on the Saturn core for MiSTer right now, and some things that are marked as working, like Saturn Bomberman here, as a side note, the best 2D Bomberman game ever made. It's supposed to work, but it just did not for me. Every time I hit start, I go to a black screen and it sits there and resets. So remember, you're just going to encounter bugs. That is part of the process, and for me, it's part of the fun. And every once in a while, you're going to see some polygonal stretching and clipping, like on Die Hard Arcade here. Some of the polygons are just doing things that don't happen on real hardware, but again, it's very minimal and it will get fixed up, I am sure, in the future. But just being able to play Die Hard Arcade on a MiSTer is just absolutely wild, and I will say that some parts of it look perfect. Like this wireframe going through the building here, Nakatomi Tower, looks exactly like it should look on original hardware. I don't see anything really that was an issue. Maybe one line was out of place, and as far as the inputs are concerned, if there's any lag, I can't feel it because this QuickTime event here was able to easily be passed, and I know that's always going to be a jump in my experience. But yeah, Die Hard Arcade on your MiSTer, playing it is so much fun to be had, and I got to the second stage before it froze on me, but then I played it again and I got to the third stage, so sometimes weird things will just happen. But yeah, I mean, even Nights into Dreams, it's not going to have much audio whatsoever, but the controls are fluid, everything, the screen pacing seems like it should be. This is Sega Saturn on MiSTer, and it's still the early days, but we did an entire series on the evolution of the PlayStation 1 core, and everyone loved that. And I've been getting a lot of questions on how to get this running, so now you know. If you have any issues, just leave me a comment down below. You know I'm always happy to help, guys. Or if you want to go on the Discord, just make sure you ask nicely, because if you come over from my channel, in a way you represent me, and I always try to be polite and helpful, so make sure you do the same. But yeah, it's still the early days, but you can play Sega Saturn games on MiSTer. I tested it out for you, and I showed you guys how to get it set up. Do me a huge favor, hit like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and I will update this video when there's more fun to be had on Saturn. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.